Boo! World Heavyweight Championship. Another fucking Del Rio and Sheamus match,
Not
and it
fair.
looks like they're gonna do another one.
Oh
The blow
God,
off in
no!
Hell in a Cell, the feud that fucking never ends. Sheamus wins the title at WrestleMania. The night after, he's talking about how great it is to be champion, fella. He
To
gets
a
intro.
series of boos because nobody liked that.
Oh yeah, because of the horrible 18-second match,
Yeah.
terrible decision.
What a great way to start off your big championship run is for everybody to boo you
Yeah, yeah,
constantly.
yeah. Well. Great way to kick off the biggest show of the year with a squash. I mean, that's the greatest way to open your show.
Yeah,
Anyway, and on top of that, it was kind of an important squash. I mean, that's kind of what put Brian over the edge as a star, sadly
no,
enough.
but that's what Brian did with it. Now, I
Yeah,
hate people saying
true.
I should put Brian over. That didn't do shit for Brian.
Yeah, it buried
Brian
him. People
worked.
were pissed and showed their support for him, and
Yeah,
it's what he did with it afterwards that kind of helped. I think that momentum kind of lifted him up, and he just kind of moved up from there. But then Del Rio interrupts him, talks about how he wants a title shot. Sheamus says you have to earn it. Del Rio wins some match by disqualification that earns him some future title shot after Sheamus is done with Brian. Sheamus finishes with Brian. Del Rio attacks Sheamus, locks in the cross arm breaker on the stage. Sheamus calls him out for a fight. Del Rio never does it. They end up their match at Over the Limit turns into a fatal four-way because nobody gives two shits. So they had
yeah.
Jericho and Orton to gain some crowd interest, which for then Sheamus wins again. Del Rio complains because it wasn't one-on-one. Gets a concussion before his next match, so Dolph Ziggler has to fill in. Then once he's cleared, it's the same old. He sneak attacks Del Rio with the cross arm breaker. Sheamus fights back, calls him fella. He calls him a hooligan. They move on to Money in the Bank, where they have their first of three average matches. Sheamus retains the bro kick. You move on to SummerSlam, which the whole build-up is again Del Rio winning number one contenders matches, attacking Sheamus, but at least he attacked him with security or fake cops or whatever, which is the only interesting thing the entire
Yeah.
feud ever had.
Which they didn't build upon at all, and it was
No, no, and he locked in the cross arm breaker again, hurting Sheamus' shoulder for the thousandth time. It was injured three times before that, but every time it got no sold. Then at SummerSlam, Sheamus wins with Del Rio's foot on the rope, meaning the feud continues, unfortunately, into Night of Champions. Del Rio wins yet another fucking number one contenders match. Sheamus calls him fella. He calls him a hooligan, or what else does he call him? A peasant.
perro,
Yeah, that too.
un
Um,
perro.
oh, who could forget Sheamus being a star and stealing Del Rio's car and trashing it?
Mm.
That's always fun to watch.
Yeah, you
Hey,
know what?
Bertie,
That's one of the
Bertie,
weird things. Be a
calm
star,
down,
and they keep
Bertie.
promoting that out of everything.
Calm down.
Sheamus's character right now is a fucking bully.
He
Yeah.
is.
That's it. That's his
He just-
entire character.
He
He's just
cheap
bullying
shots
heels.
champion with his back turned to win a title.
Yeah.
He cheats to beat people with their foot on the rope.
And then he gets his finishing move is too dangerous, and then they're like,
But then,
fuck it.
since he's the good guy, he gets it revoked.
Yeah.
Uses the bro kick anywhere it's banned. Bro kicks referees.
At the beginning of the match, he bro kicks David Otunga, who hadn't done shit.
Yeah.
You know,
He's
and-
just a fucking bully, and
Bertie,
nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. Bertie, calm down. No, you're a hooligan, a peasant, a thief.
Pretty much as everyone knows right now, these guys are kind of pissed at the match. And, anybody else who sits there and says Sheamus deserves the title, yes, Sheamus does deserve the title, but is he getting over?
He deserves the title several months ago, having
Yep.
lost it to Wade Barrett.
Yeah.
He needs to
This-
feud with Barrett.
Yeah.
And
think
not
that
the big show feud that they're apparently going to do.
Oh, that's gonna be god awful.
Ugh.
That's worse than the Del Rio feud.
But see, why didn't they do Big Show against Sheamus 3 months ago? And kind of do that in between when they started doing this Big Show, CM Punk and John Cena thing. That would have broken up the Big Show and them. It would have broken up Del Rio and Sheamus. You could have had the Sheamus Daniel Bryan feud, the Sheamus Del Rio feud, Sheamus Big Show, and then he could have lost to Wade Barrett. It
Yeah,
would have
I think
less monotonous.
personally, I do think this is going inside Hell in a Cell. I could see them carrying it out to that being the blow off. and then Sheamus is gonna retain, but like have Barrett like knock him out, give him like winds of change or something after the match, and kind of have that be your world title feud to end the year. It's Sheamus and Barrett, where Sheamus will lose the title to Wade Barrett. I
You know
think
what I
that
would
needs to
love to see?
happen. He needs to be the next challenger.
I would love to see Wade Barrett get not only the title shot, right? Either let's say they don't have the time to build up to it for Hell in a Cell. They're probably gonna just do Del Rio against Sheamus, but I'd like to see Sheamus and Del Rio do like fucking over with, but Wade Barrett immediately win the title from Sheamus. Like
Or
they do some kind of thing where he just wins it right off the bat, and then they do a rematch or whatever, and then Dolph Ziggler turn babyface and beat Wade Barrett, and he go into WrestleMania as the babyface champion.
Well, there's a way we can do it, but people are not going to like me for saying this. Have Barrett challenge Ziggler for the Money in the Bank briefcase. Vicky turn on Ziggler, side with Barrett. Boom, babyface. Barrett cashes it in, wins the title automatically.
The
Bam.
only issue I have with that is Barrett isn't the type to have some
Vicky.
Screaming bitch as his manager. He just doesn't seem to fit the bill, like at all.
Yeah, I could see that being the problem.
He comes across as like kind of like the lone wolf fighter. You know,
No,
he
but in the end, he can
works
just
for himself.
You can have Barrett state that he's only using Vicky to get like a means to the end, and she can say she's using him because Dolph rejected her or some bollocks like that. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't need to be a fixed partnership.
More so just a partnership for a week.
Yeah. It's something that just until the feud with Ziggler's over, and then she can just move on to like being a free agent and say, no, you know, I'm looking for talent or some shit.
Yeah, Ziggler's got a year to cash in though, so like I'd really like to see him hold on to the briefcase for a while.
Maybe again, it accomplishes two things. One, Barrett gets the championship quickly, and two, Ziggler does get the championship eventually after having a feud with Barrett.
Yeah, either way, I'd like to see if they don't keep Dolph Ziggler as the show off heel character, and if he doesn't beat Sheamus for this title in like as soon as fucking possible, then I would like to see Wade Barrett win the title. And I know Wade hasn't had a feud for a long time since the Randy Orton one, and he kind of should have one right now. I don't know why they don't have him in one. They have him not even really wrestling, but I would love for him to just come right into it, beat Sheamus, do the whole, well, yeah, you know, you got the two guys that are rough brawlers against each other kind of thing.
Yeah, Sheamus make it, you know, European stars, brawlers.
Right.
You know, duking it out for the world title. I think
they had it before.
The storyline writes itself. Yeah, they kind of teased at it last summer. And
they beat the living shit out of each other. I was actually interested in seeing it continue.
Yeah, they have pretty good chemistry. It would make for an intriguing feud. Yeah. That's what the world title needs. I think Barrett needs to go for the title and he needs to win it.
And Del Rio needs to get injured for a while.
Or Del
Rio just needs to get relegated down to mid card for a bit until he works himself
back he really needs to be bumped down to the mid card.
He needs to stop getting world title matches because it never seems to work.
Well, the only time it did was when he was feuding with Edge. I will defend that.
The Christian thing.
Yeah, the whole the Edge and Christian feud I thought worked, and that's when he was a heel.
That's when they were booking him strong though, because he was using that arm breaker and literally destroying people using it.
Yeah, instead of just attacking somebody and then doing that and that's it.
Well, the problem is Sheamus is booked like I want to say like Cena. They don't have their top faces tap. You know he's going to lose because his only finisher is the cross arm breaker. Top faces never tap.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't happen like that, because if you're booking two faces the exact same way, who's going to pay to see two faces in the same environment, same fucking storyline, facing two different people? It's not going to work.
Right.
And no matter how many times they pretend to pile the odds on Sheamus, you still know he's going to fucking destroy people because he hasn't been booked right. That's the issue. This is the real issue why Sheamus isn't getting over. he's not being booked right.
He's being booked
sane.
as a combination of Triple H and John Cena.
Yeah, and you don't want that
Should
for the
triple
guy.
Sheamus.
The problem is, if you see the guy in FCW the way he was there, he was booked correctly because his character was utilized appropriately. He's not being utilized properly. That's the issue. I'm not saying he's shit, because he's not. But he doesn't deserve that world championship at the moment because he's not bringing value to that championship. And that championship is not doing anything for his character. All he's doing is, I'm the world champion.
He was pretty hot for a while. Like,
yeah, but that was because he was going one-on-one with guys like Henry and putting up a fight.
Which, oh man, if Henry would have remained champion and they pushed Sheamus against him, that could have been one hell of a feud.
Yeah,
it would have been
for the title. That would have been extremely interesting.
Sheamus a lot more than having Sheamus beat Bryan the way he did, because it's saying, "Oh, I don't have to beat you this way. I'll just cheap shot you."
Let's play a little game here. Their match at Extreme Rules. I'm not saying it had to be 2 out of 3 falls, but the length of that match as the opener of WrestleMania would have did a lot more good for Sheamus than squashing a guy with his back turned in 18 seconds.
I agree. And the thing is, it didn't hurt
stole the
Bryan.
show at Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
It was the best match of the night.
As much as it's hurt Sheamus, that WrestleMania thing, because no one gives a fuck about Sheamus. And it's because that's what started it off. Because they're like, well, you just fucked yourself over. This is how you win the championship. If he had a proper match with Bryan at WrestleMania and actually defeated the odds to beat Bryan, then people would have been, all right, we'll give it to you. You put up a fucking good fight. Instead, they're like, bam, pin.
And it soured that first hour of the show for me. It really did.
Me too. Me and Tony had a conversation after that match, and it was literally like, I'm not into the WrestleMania.
Well, it's because I know the chemistry that those two had. If you watch their Extreme Rules match, it's phenomenal. I mean,
dude, I had a huge rant on nerdgenius.com about this.
That's one of the best matches of the year. And I'm like, could you imagine if that was added to WrestleMania as the opener on top of...
It would have set the pace. It would have set
on top of the other great matches that we had that night.
But this is another issue I have as well, though. I don't like world title matches being openers at all. I always believe that the WWE Championship should be the main event. The World Championship should be the semi-main event.
Co-main event.
Yeah, co-main event. They both should be on the same level.
At the very least, it should be second behind like some kind of a gimmick main. Like obviously, if you had somebody like I don't know, like if we're able to get like Punk and Austin this year, I doubt it's going to happen. But then that needs to be either second or third.
Well, you knew that Rock versus Cena was going to be last on the card, right?
Right.
So the WWE Championship should logically should have been behind Rock versus Cena,
which it was.
Yeah, and then logically behind that would be the World Heavyweight Championship, right? You don't put it as the opener because you literally fuck the title over. You fuck the two guys that you were in the match over as well, and you made it a pointless squash. Which he made it even worse.
Yeah, on top of
And the guy who's suffering is Sheamus, because you got Del in there with him as well, who can't carry a feud. The thing about Del Rio is he's good, but you have to carry him. That's what made him so good with Edge and Christian. They carried him. Yeah.
And Mysterio, would you say Ray carried him too? I thought that feud was pretty good.
No, but that was the thing, because it was a luchador feud.
I don't think necessarily Ray carried him. I think that just the feud carried itself.
No, but that was because both work a similar style.
Yeah, it was a very simple storyline. You didn't have to put too much focal point on it because it wasn't a world title thing, so you didn't need to have 5 segments for the show.
Yeah, but it was a very decent upper mid-card feud.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. But
and it fit his billing upon debuting, which for the most part was a pretty big debut.
Yeah.
But the thing is, impressive. Well, though, he didn't have to do much with that feud with Mysterio because it was a lucha feud. We all knew it was a lucha feud. But when he goes into work at WWE style, he can do it, but he needs to be carried through it. And that's the problem. And now he's with Sheamus. Neither man can carry the feud. Sheamus is still hurting over that whole WrestleMania incident, and Del Rio is coming in there trying to make sure that he looks good, and he doesn't. So what they're doing is, oh, squash him, squash him, squash him, squash him, and it's not working. So they're continuously feeding this guy to Sheamus, and then he's kicking up a shit fit. Then they feed him again, and he kicks up another shit fit, and then they feed him again.
I like that phrase, kicking up a shit fit.
He's kicking up a shit fit. That's all he's doing.
Almost as much as I like when Braden says birdie.
But
Bertie!
It literally.
What's wrong, fella? I just trashed your car.
Because you're working the same feud again and again and again. It's like taking a shit.
I will say this for the millionth time. Where is the evolving story?
There you go.
When did it change? How did it progress? You could look at stuff from April, May, June, July, August to now, and it's the exact same thing every week.
I agree with you. It's the exact same story.
Sheamus scares off Del Rio, faking him out with a brogue kick.
And
Del
hits
Rio cheap
Ricardo
attacks.
instead.
Yeah, Del Rio cheap attacks, locks in a cross arm breaker off the stage or off the ring apron, something dirty, it's going to hurt his shoulder more than if I just applied in the middle of the ring. I'll hang off the stage even though it just looks like I'm like raping his arm or whatever.
Yeah. And it's
I'm just hanging from the stage with your legs around me. It hurts. I'm by the stage. Yeah, the stage hurts me more.
And it's not working. And the reason why it's not working is because he doesn't look like a possible contender.
Let's take a look at a really good world title feud. I thought Randy Orton versus Christian last year was a fantastic feud.
Fantastic.
Great feud. Perfect. And why? Because it evolved. I mean, it started off as face versus face for the title.
And everybody hating Orton because he beat Christian for the title.
Yeah, as soon as he won the title.
Yeah, and then Christian said, you know what? On my best game, or not really on my best game, I just came off a ladder match, and he got the best of me. Well, let's see what happens on a pay-per-view where I am 100%. Let's see if he can beat me at 100%. And Orton did.
Mm-hmm.
And then Christian kind of just said, okay, I'll earn my way to another shot, and then I'll beat you. And then Orton ends up accidentally costing Christian a number one contender spot. Orton ends up retaining the title, and Christian finally just snaps and assaults Orton, turning heel. And then he gets this crazy obsession with becoming champion. And, he'll do anything it takes to win it, going through contracts, getting lawyers.
Turning heel.
All this other bull crap. Feels he got screwed out of the title when he had his foot on the rope. Much better done than the Del Rio Sheamus endeavor. That's when he got lawyers to put in the contract that if Orton does any shenanigans, he'll win the title. And he won the title on the most heelish way ever. A DQ.
When he spat in his face.
The only time a title win has been done by disqualification in history.
And
that was
worked.
Brilliant. It worked. It got Orton over as somebody who got cheated out, and it made Christian look slimy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And it led to an excellent blow-off match at SummerSlam, which is one of the best matches of the year, where Orton was pissed. He was coming for revenge, and they beat the shit out of each other, and Orton finally ended it by winning the title back and retaining it inside the cage.
I have to say, that feud could have continued.
It could have. I thought it should have went.
It was.
That would have deserved to go to Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
I think that would have been better than Orton and Henry, but Mark Henry, his title reign was actually really good.
Yeah.
It's a shame that it ended due to
an injury.
To injury. I would have liked to see how long he could have kept it had he not got hurt. But yeah, that's how you do a world title feud. That was excellent, and they were co-main eventing every pay-per-view they were on. It was Orton, Christian, and the WWE title match as the main event throughout that entire feud.
Yeah.
And again, I just want to point out here for people who are going to get really skeptical and start pushing the dislike button, we are not trashing Sheamus, right? We are kind of trashing Del Rio, but we're not trashing Sheamus here. We're trashing the fact.
Would it be crazy of me to say I actually like Del Rio?
It's not crazy, but
I think
sense, we're not.
I like the guy.
We're not trashing the guy per se. We are trashing the ability to sell this match We are trashing the ability of these two men to work together because obviously they have no chemistry, and we are trashing the fact
Or
that
what
this
is
feud has
there is very
continued.
minimal. They
Yeah,
have average matches, but they don't have good matches.
yeah,
I think that's the best way to put it.
that's it. And these are not pay-per-view quality matches. And
No.
if anyone wants to disagree, by all means,
Yeah,
do
tell
a
us in the
video,
comments.
By all means,
put a
tell
comment.
us,
Yeah, just
the
don't
best
sit
match
there
that they
and
had in the feud was the Fatal 4-Way, but Orton and Jericho were involved.
there we
That
go.
was the best match of the entire feud.
Do not shit on this video on the comment section. Explain why. Because the thing is, we can debate with you. If we're wrong, tell us and explain why. Don't shit on us and say that we're arseholes because we said this, this, and this.
Yeah, I like both guys. I really do, but the
Yeah,
feud
and we want to
just
see this be good.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
the feud just the creative has been lacking ever since it started. It never got any better, and there's been no progress. It hasn't evolved.
And
And
I'll dare
the
to say
best
this.
feuds
It's
always
like
evolve.
the creative team do not give a fuck about this feud.
No, they clearly don't.
It's like they're trying to waste time.
They are, clearly.
And
I mean, holy shit, it's been going on since April. Can you believe that? April.
Speaking of time, we have one more segment we gotta do. That's the next part, the WWE Championship. And then that'll be it for us. So stay tuned and check out that part coming up right after this one.